first thing that God says is, let there be light, Yehi or, let there be light. In the world of physics, there's a question of whether light is waves or particles. The final conclusion is it's both. It's particles so connected that they become waves. What's the difference between waves and particles? Particles are individuals. But when the particles connect in such a way that they become waves, all of a sudden the particles become connected. So here, the light is in the same way. Every single Jew is a particle. And when you send out the beam of light, of holiness, of godliness, of togetherness, of family, then all those particles become a wave, an integrated whole that continue to send that wave into other environments and continue to bring more light, which is really the objective of creation. And the whole concept of the Jewish people is the transformation of darkness to light. And that was the objective of our mission, to literally reconnect Jews that were so far and to create a community that was special.
We were young kids, actually, when we started. Right after we were married, we moved to South Florida at the Rebbe's request. He told us this is the place for us to go. He said, I'm going with you. And once he gave us that blessing, I knew that all we had to do was follow his directive and it would be fine.
It's not a shul. It's not just a school. It's a home. It's a home 24 hours a day. This is the heart. And all the streets that go, we're all the vessels. And the heart pumps the blood to all the vessels, all the streets. So we're all connected. And if this place is going, we're all pumping.
It's my children's school. It's where we daven. It's where our friends meet. It's where you have a social life, where you have a spiritual life, where you have a place to grow. This is the anchor that holds us.
It's like coming to your second home. You come to the shul and you feel like you are part of it.
I moved to the community about 3 years ago. I wasn't Orthodox at the time. The shul has truly changed my perspective on life. I put on tefillin every day. I read the Torah portion every week and I learn from the Torah portion and I see how it actually does apply to my life.
You get a lot of knowledge in this shul. You know why you're a Jew. You know why you're coming here, and there are a lot of people here which you want to be with.
In Bet HaMikdash, we know the windows were built in a way that the light is going out. The shul is the same way. Everything is just to give the light out. And everyone that comes here actually takes some light with them and spread it out to the world. That's the power of this place.
I think the way it started with, it was very grassroots in terms of the way the rabbi really built up the synagogue along with people like, my uncle and my grandfather and obviously a lot of other people.
When we moved to Bell Harbor, the main thing was to have a little shul here. We sure found a little shul in Bell Harbor, Rabbi Lipsker, and it was in the hotel.
And I had a call from gentleman said, Mr. Stein, it's Rabbi Lipsker. I said, what can I do for you? He said, I understand you can give us a room for a shul. I said, yeah, I'd be glad to. I'm going to come up and see you. So he came up, and everybody's eyes popped out in the lobby when they saw a gentleman dressed with black suit, black hat, and the black beard, because he was in his 30s at the time. The only thing I could spare was a card room. And I took him up, showed him the card room, and he says, okay, that's fine. Now we made a chitza. So we made the chitza, we took bed sheets and put them on chairs. And then went looking for a minyan. That was difficult.
We needed a minyan every morning, and during the summer that wasn't easy to get. So he employed various practices. We scoured the streets.
I was here with Rabbi Lipsker from the beginning. When I said Lo Alechem Kaddish for my father, we didn't have a minyan often, so I had to call. I called three, four taxis. I said, we need 3, 4 Jewish taxi drivers, and they came and they completed the minyan.
We were hoping it's going to grow into something important. And our daughter was still very young, very little. The rabbi had 2 children, Zalman and Dvoralea. So we had 3 children to start the shul.
When my father passed away, we didn't have a minyan. We had 9 people. The taxi company didn't have any Jewish cab drivers. The streets were empty. And one of the very important friends that would help me make the minyan, Mr. Chaim Falik, actually, FEMA, he said to me, we should rush a little bit. He never would rush, but this time he had to go. We were already hanging out and waiting. I said, I've got to say Kaddish for my father. It's not possible I shouldn't say Kaddish. There were no other minions in the city. So I went outside and I see this old man with a blue cap, with a big stain across the side of the cap, this pair of pants that were polyester, those colored polyester pants, blue short-sleeved shirt, with this plastic thing in his pocket with like 12 pens that you used to see like in the 1950s. I said, excuse me, sir, are you Jewish? He said, what's it to you? I said, I must have, I don't believe in it. It's not for me. Don't bother me. Anyways, he goes down the street with his cane. I go back inside, trying to make a few phone calls, nothing's happening. And the people inside say, we're going. I said, give me 5 minutes. I rush outside, I go down to the corner at that time where the HSBC bank was a Howard's drugstore. And they had a breakfast counter or a meal counter. This guy's sitting at the counter, his hat's on the table, and he'd order breakfast. I walk over to him, I said, excuse me, sir. I said, I know this is very difficult, but I have no choices. I must say Kaddish for my father. He says to me, I already ordered breakfast. I said, well, how much did it cost? He says, $5. And he had ordered a bacon and eggs breakfast. So I took $5 out of my pocket and I put it on the table. It's the first time in my life I ever paid for a bacon and eggs breakfast. But this man turned around to me and says, well, if it's worth $5 to you, I'll come with you. But don't give me no prayer books, don't give me no prayer shawls, I don't want anything else. I said, I just need your warm body. I just need a living Jew to be number 10. He goes back to me, with me, makes my minyan. I'm so appreciative to him. The next morning, he's hanging outside. And he's kind of waiting for me to invite him in, and I invite him in. And from that moment on, we had a relationship that was extraordinary. He was the oldest Baal Tshuva in my life. At 92, he started wrapping tefillin. He gave us the first $1 million to build a shul. And he passed away with Shema Yisrael on his mouth. That's Mr. Schuster.
It was a struggle to be built because the commissioners that were in the town at the time were against building a shul in Surfside. In fact, the shul wasn't wanted anywhere in the community. But it was through the insistence of Rabbi Lipskar and the vision and his leadership that really and truly became a reality.
I was the Planning and Zoning Board Chairman for Surfside, and this was 1988, 89. All we did was approve paint colors and swatches and things like that. And then all of a sudden one night, there were 200 people in the tiny old Surfside meeting room. I said to myself, this is something different. This isn't our normal agenda. And I open it up and I see there's all these huge complex plans for the shul. To make a long story short, we approved the shul variances.
We recruited 2 people to take very important roles. My brother-in-law David Shear to be the president. And Ben Yeoman, Ben Mechoil, Benny to be the master builder, and he oversaw the building of the shul.
It wasn't an easy task for Ben because there was always money issues. And so he tried to get from every contract, when he wrote up, he would chop less money, and he made sure we had the finest and best.
The first time I walked in to the shul, when it was a storefront on Harding Avenue, Rabbi Lipsker was giving a talk. And as he's speaking, I'm intently listening and I'm trying to absorb what he's saying. And I'm constantly hearing him say, the Teda says this, and the Teda says this, and that. By the time he concluded, I approached him and I said, what you said, Rabbi, was really meaningful and important, but I have one question. You kept referring to the Teda. What is the Teda? And of course, it was the Torah.
We used to go to Shul every Shabbos, and I think Minyan started when the 10th person came in. And the children's program was Devorah Leah, Zalman, Nicole Katz, and me at the rabbi's house every afternoon. And in Shul, we used to play basically under the bima hide and seek.
The kids, some little ones, were coming in and running up and down the aisle, and Rabbi Lipsker said, we don't stop the children from talking, from laughing. They can do whatever they want. The adults have to be quiet, and you do what you're supposed to do.
Growing up here was really a privilege. I loved coming to Shul. As I grew older and I saw the community develop, and from a child's perspective, it's very interesting to see how more people move into the community, more children, more activity.
Nothing compares to the children's programs that this synagogue has, whether it's the bar or the bat mitzvah classes, the father and son learning. There's just so many programs for the kids. Even when we're praying, they have activities, they're praying, they're learning. So there's always stuff for them to do.
The greatest part for me about raising my children in this community is that they have their core group of friends that they go to school with, and at the same time they can branch out and have friends in the community that are maybe not from the same exact background as them, and they always have a base.
Having my girls grow up here, the presence of the shul, the presence of the people in the community has definitely been influential on the way that they're being brought up, the way that they think, what they see.
The Shul of Bal Harbor is really an organization for the future. There were very few children at the beginning, and now the Shul is B'li Hara full of beautiful, vibrant children. And this is the future. The children are our future.
About 2 years ago, when my wife unfortunately had to go through a very complicated surgery, so she was in a wheelchair for over 6 months, and she went through a very tough time. And the community just stepped up to the plate and helped myself, my wife, and the kids in every possible manner you can do. And when I saw this, usually I'm from the inside, we're helping outside. When I saw the community helping me in the same way that they help so many other people, I realized how special and how truly unique this community is, and there's really no place like this in the world.
The rabbi has really opened our hearts to what being Jewish really means.
To have a Chabad house that caters for the Frum community and for the non-Frum, yet to be Frum, it's very hard to find.
It's an open house, open doors, it embraces everybody. It's a miracle.
It's very easy to live as a Jew here. Within this 5-mile, I guess, radius, most people work. Their kids go to school right around here. Their neighbors are typically people that have been to or go to the shul, or their kids were part of the shul, or still connected, not connected. Everybody's basically has some sort of connection to the shul.
The synagogue is not for Orthodox people, it's for any Jew. They never say no.
The rabbi is always there for you. I mean, you always can speak to him. And he never looks busy for you. That's the funny thing.
I really believe that the Rebbe was maybe a Navi, and Rabbi Lipsker being a Shaliach of the Rebbe, and he's the next best thing.
I think that the Shul of Bal Harbor would give the Rebbe a lot of nachas, and that we really fulfilled his dream of making this an amazing shul, an amazing place, and a place where everyone can call home.
When I moved down to this community, I became very connected with Zalman, Rabbi Lipskar's son, Rabbi Lipskar Jr., let's say. And I started learning with him once a week, and I've been doing that for some years now. Yeah. And it's very easy to get hooked into this community and to get dialed in on a daily basis. There's a lot of energy here.
Shul is everything to me, so I'm always here. There's always something. They don't stop. Rabbi Lipskar and Hani don't stop. I don't know when they sleep.
Every little mitzvah that we took it knowing that we were comfortable with it and we weren't going to go back. And the shul helped us in every moment, every step that we took. When I took the mitzvah of making my kitchen kosher, And for Isaac, that was it. That was, your kitchen's kosher, you're kosher. In and out of the home. And, you know, I always said to him, you didn't give me a warning. If I would have known, I would have eaten all my favorite restaurants.
Early day when I came, Rabbi Lipska used to say that word, driving. And I was laughing, me and another friend. I said, you laughing? So from now on, you're going to say it. I said, what are you talking about? I don't know anything. I said, you'll find a way to say things.
Their famous expression is over the top. So it's definitely inspired all of us to take it over the top. I could be thousands of miles away from the shul, but potentially in an experience where you're weighing out your options and ultimately you gotta go over the top.
So I guess there's one difficult part to this. I love the shul, I love working here, but I do work with my mother, which at times can get a little difficult. So, you know, I mean, I have my friends and the other shul people here to help me deal with whatever I have to go on, but sometimes it does get a little difficult. I'm kidding, I love you, you're the best, I love working with you.
It brings tears to my eyes because it's my children and my grandchildren. But I always say that one piece of wood can burn. You need a few pieces, then it makes a fire. So everyone, my dear friends and family friends, I really want to thank you. And not only me, but Hashem should thank you and bless you with God and with long and good life for being a part of this big community, which is a family.
The entire group of people that are the leaders in this shul are my friends, people that I would go to bat for and probably take a bullet for. The Rebbe encouraged all of us to be his shluchim, and even though I don't have formal training, I know enough to be able to pass on to the guy that has less than I do. So the way I show Hakar Satov is to be out there on the front lines, and whenever I'm asked, the answer is yes.
I think until Mashiach comes, this is going to be always a trendsetter. And I think before Mashiach comes, this is the best place to be.
When you come inside, you can't help but get illuminated by the spirituality here, by the love that's here, by the compassion that's here, by the wisdom that's here. And it touches you and you light up. You know, like when Moses came down with the tablets, he was glowing. When you leave the synagogue, people are glowing. And that has a residual effect on everybody that you meet.
There have been times where I've walked into the sanctuary and felt the air almost thick with holiness. Like it wasn't air, it was almost some kind of palpable, not quite water, but you knew you were in the presence of, we call it the Shekhinah of the Almighty.
I have seen the Rebbe's blessings in my own life. The Rebbe's blessings are real. I have bet my life on that. The Rebbe gave this institution a blessing. It'll only continue to grow and prosper.
Having that blessing of the Rebbe and knowing that he's with us every step of the way made it not only possible, but kept us going, and thank God, is 30 years later, look at what we have here, Baruch Hashem, with the help of all the wonderful people that are involved here.
One thing I can tell you, without question, every single face of every single person in this community, and when I go to the Ohel and I read the names of our community, I read about 3,000 names. And while I'm reading those 3,000 names, I'm also thinking about other people that are members of those family. And in my mind, during that time, like a movie screen, you might have 10 or 15,000 images of people coming through my mind. Each image is like a shining star of kindness, of goodness, of gentleness. Each person here portrays such an incredible part of the Jewish people, and that their very external level, not even going into the deeper levels of their souls and hearts, already represent such extraordinary natures. I'm so proud, literally, and so fortunate to be a part of a community that is so unique and special.